An attack of this scale, this breadth, would seem to suggest that Israel was either baiting Hezbollah into forcing the issue, or into starting it itself. I mean, there is no better way to start a full-blown conflict than to take, 10-20% of the entire fighting force of Hezbollah off the battlefield and destroy the command and control and communications infrastructure.
On Tuesday, a series of devastating explosions rocked Lebanon, killing at least 9 people and injuring around 2,800. The blasts, which targeted communication devices used by Hezbollah members, reverberated across the country. Hezbollah quickly accused Israel of orchestrating the attack, although Israeli authorities had not issued any immediate response.
Assuming that this was more than just making lithium batteries override and overheat, but they had planted small amounts of explosives in each one of these pages, then this was unquestionably a calculated attack. We know full well, watching what's happened in Gaza, that Israel games in a certain amount of collateral damage into its actions, and obviously that has given way to a significant international debate about humanitarian law. But yes, there have been civilian casualties in this, and it has probably hit Hezbollah operatives from the most senior to the most junior. It's just unprecedented in scale and sophistication, and it really does go to show just how deeply Israel has managed to infiltrate its adversaries in the immediate region. If we're on the brink of a major conflict, the idea that Hezbollah will be able to communicate from top down throughout its rank and file will have been presented with an enormous challenge, given the news we've seen just in the last few hours.
The explosions were particularly concerning as they came shortly after Israel declared it was expanding its military objectives to include Hezbollah in response to Hamas's attacks on October 7. In Hezbollah-controlled areas, hospitals struggled to cope with the influx of casualties. Haneen Gadar, senior fellow at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, delved into how Israel had reportedly managed to sabotage Hezbollah's communication infrastructure.
Probably the Israelis have intercepted the supply chain, interfered with the pagers, added a certain explosive material to the batteries or to the pager itself, and sent it back to waiting for the right moment to do this. And it seems that this is the right moment to do this. So this is a very, very wide-scale, unprecedented security breach by Israel against Hezbollah.
Hezbollah has blamed Israel for sabotaging a shipment of 1,000 communication devices it had recently imported. Lister noted that this act could be a prelude to larger military objectives.
There is no better way to start a full-blown conflict than to take 10-20% of the entire fighting force of Hezbollah off the battlefield and destroy the command and control and communications infrastructure.
Initially, Hezbollah hesitated to directly accuse Israel, but the group soon issued a second statement blaming them for the explosions.
And Hezbollah first statement was they did not mention Israel, they did not accuse Israel, but immediately afterwards, less than an hour afterwards, Hezbollah issued a second statement blaming Israel for this, which means that they will have to respond. Its leadership realized that the cell phones have been breached, that Israel has access to all the telephone network, and they know exactly where any Hezbollah member.
This breach prompted Hezbollah to reevaluate its communication methods.
So the Hezbollah's leadership decided that we're going to go back to more primitive, more basic means of communication. So they told everyone that we're getting you new pagers, which are these pagers. This is a new shipment that they ordered after they realized that they have been exposed to Israeli intelligence via the network. Now, if they don't have the pagers, if the pagers are going to explode and they're not going to use them anymore, and the cell phone is a dangerous network, Hezbollah's communication strategy, communication tools are broken. So this means that they're going to have a problem with communications. One of the scenarios that this is just a beginning to disrupt Hezbollah's communication network, a beginning of a much larger military operation in Lebanon, where when Hezbollah cannot communicate with each other, the Israelis will have a better chance at winning or expanding the operations in Lebanon.
As the explosions wreaked havoc, Hezbollah vowed retaliation for what it called an act of aggression, while the U.S. distanced itself from the incident, stating it had no prior knowledge of the attacks. The explosions have raised concerns about Hezbollah's internal communication security, which had already been compromised following the assassinations of several key members in targeted strikes. Lister warned of the possible consequences of these breaches.
If we're on the brink of a major conflict, the idea that Hezbollah will be able to communicate from top down throughout its rank and file will have been presented with an enormous challenge.
The aftermath of these blasts signals a significant turning point in the ongoing tensions between Israel and Hezbollah, further escalating an already volatile situation. With communications severely compromised and internal security questioned, Hezbollah faces unprecedented challenges in its operational capabilities.